Welcome, this is Donna from Donny Crochets, and today we're going to learn how to make a crochet sleeve. It's something a little bit different from what other people do, and I think this is just the best way of how to make a sleeve compared to how the other crocheters do it. And I'll show you the difference at the end of how the normal crochet looks crochet sleeve looks and how this other one looks like. So basically a sleeve usually looks like this. From if you are stitching it, if you're cutting out a pattern from a material, this is how you're going to cut it out. And most crocheters, they usually like to do sort of a panel kind of sleeve where it's just a panel. Some of them can do it like this, or they can add the ribbing effect, the reduced ribbing effect here at the wrist. Yeah, but today I want us to learn about this one, and we're going to learn how to, the theory part will be how to do it two different ways, but in the practical one I'll show you how to do it in this one, the vertical way. Yeah, so let's start. So this sleeve that I've done here is for a paneled kind of bodice, a vest, a dress, whatever you're making, and you want to make sleeves for it. So there's two types of ways you can make it. You can decide to do the vertical, you can decide to work it up vertically, or you can decide to work it up horizontally. So for the first one, which is the vertical workup, what you are going to do is to create a foundation chain. This foundation chain that you're creating, it needs to be the exact length of the sleeve length. That will be the foundation chain that you make. And then the width of the sleeve is going to be determined by the round arm, and that is just the measurement of the widest area of your arm. Yeah, and this for the wrist, you're going to measure your wrist here and see. So for this, everything you just work it up as you go. You're going to start here after creating the foundation chain. Let's say we are starting to work on the right side. Yeah, so you'll do the first row without a decrease. Then when you reach to this area where the wrist is going to be, you're going to start doing the wrist, where you're going to change the pattern to create the rib effect at the bottom, and to draw in the work to be a little bit smaller at the bottom, so that it can snag better on the wrist, as your round arm is a bit bigger compared to what the wrist measurement is. For the horizontal workup, the foundation chain is going to be the round arm measurement. For this one, remember, is the sleeve length. For the vertical one is the sleeve length. Then for the horizontal one, is the foundation chain is going to be the length of the round arm. Yeah, yes. And this one, you're going to work it from, you start from here, the foundation chain, of which you're going to work it up as you go. You create a panel, and then you'll start reducing at this area. I'll show you the marks on this side of how you're supposed to do it. So that is the difference between the horizontal workup and the vertical workup. The foundation chain is different. For the horizontal, it's the round arm. For the vertical is the sleeve length. Yeah, and then something different also, you're going to need to subtract, so that when you finish working up this horizontal work up of a sleeve, you need to that it needs to total up to the sleeve length measurement. You're going to subtract 3 inches, that is going to cut for the wrist, and then also half of what the round arm is to cut for this curve up here. So let's see what the mat is looking like. Okay, let's start on this side on the horizontal workup. So let's say your sleeve length is 25 inches, yeah, your round arm is 12 inches, and the wrist length, what I mean by the wrist length is where you, this area, how big you want the wrist area to be, not your wrist measurement. That is different. That is different from the measurement that we are using here. So after you have your sleeve measurement, your round arm, and the wrist length, what you're going to do is you're going to take the round arm. Remember, this is the mat for the horizontal workup, this one. You're going to take the round arm, you're going to divide it by 2, and then you're going to get 6 inches. Then that 6 inches, you're going to add it with the 3 inches, which is the wrist length, this one. And then you're going to get 9 inches. After getting 9 inches, you are going to subtract it with the 25 inches, which is the sleeve length. And when you subtract it, you're going to get 16 inches. So this 16 inches is going to be the exact measurement of the panel, how the panel needs to be. So your foundation chin is going to be here. So you're going to work up a panel that is what? 16 inches. After working up a panel that is what? 16 inches. So from there, you're going to decrease from each side, from this side and this side, as you go up. And the decrease should be a length of 6 inches. Make sure you're using stitch markers so that you know. You make sure you place the stitch markers, the stitch marker here, so that you, when you reach a certain level, you can measure and see if the curve is 6 inches in length. Then after you finish reducing and you reach that area, you'll stop. After stopping, you're going to work up on the wrist area. Of it, this wrist area, we're going to do the ribbing effect at the bottom to create the snug look that we are going for. For the vertical workup, this one now, the measurements are the same, only that the way you're working it is going to be a little bit different. This one, everything you're going to work it up as you go. Everything you're going to work it up as you go. So after creating the foundation chain, which is your sleeve length, that is 25 inches, what you're going to do is you're going to start working, either if you want to start working on the left or the right. So the first area, you'll just work it up, and then when you reach this area where your wrist is supposed to start, you are going to start introducing the ribbing effects and make sure the length is 3 inches. And then when you go up, you'll start reducing so that it can create the curve that we're looking for as you go. But the only thing that you need to keep in mind is when you're working from this side going this side, make sure the width is 6 inches and 6 inches, so that the total can amount to 12 inches, which is the total measurement of our round arm. Yeah, that is the only difference of working it up compared to how you do the horizontal workup. Yeah, so let's get into the practical part. So for this tutorial, this will this panel will act as our borders. So we're going to start doing the vertical workup, of which I'll just do it in swatch form. So let me put this aside first and let's work on this. So I'm going to assume this is the length of our sleeve. So for the first row, I'll just work it up normally up to the area where the wrist is supposed to be. So keep working all the way. This is just sample form. Please remember to use the exact measurements for your piece. So let's say this remaining area is where my wrist is going to be. We're going to start working the rib effects that is going to create the snag effects at the wrist. So what you want to do is to work into this back V here. Create a slip knot. I like to weave in my ends as I go, so don't worry about that. And that is just basically what you're going to do all the way to the end. Work in the back V's like so. To the end, and when you get to the end, work into the last. After working into the last, chain up one. After chaining up one, sorry, my yarn is a bit tangled. After chaining up one, turn your work and go to the next row. Let me try and unravel this first. Yeah, so you turn your work and then you'll work into the very first stitch. Continue working in the back V's up to the area where your double crochets or whichever pattern you're using is coming up. You can use stitch markers if you are not good at locating the areas. So from there, now depending on the type of sleeve you're making, you can either decide to continue working on the back V's, or from this area you can just now work into both V's, so that you just create the ribbing effect at this bottom area and not at the top. So the difference is going to come up when you reach almost the end of your sleeve. So work it up. And then you're going to start reducing. So to do that, you're seeing we have two stitches left. What you're going to do is you're going to work into one of the stitches and leave this other one, and that is going to mark as our first increase. So it's like you're skipping a stitch. you turn your work. After turning your work again, you're going to skip this first one and work into the second one. So already you're creating the curve by doing those decreases. By skipping the stitches, you're already creating the curve. And basically that is the pattern that you're going to do. Decrease all the way, and then let's say, for example, yeah, the round arm is 6. See this, the round arm full measurement is 12. So one side is supposed to be 6 inches and the other side is supposed to be 6 inches. What you're going to do is you're going to continue decreasing until you reach 5 inches. When you reach 5 inches, the last 1 inch, you're not going to decrease, it's just going to be flat, no decrease, but it's going to be 1 inch worth of the double crochets and then the slip knots at the end. I hope you're getting me. Yeah, so that it creates this, the curve, and then when you get to this area it's a bit flat. Sorry, when you get to this area it's a bit flat, so the curve, and then it's a bit flat. So continue doing that, and I'm going to work this and then I'll meet you when I'm done. So right now I'm at the end where we are going to now start creating the flat area. You'll just turn your work, but now you're not going to skip anything. After you've reached here, what you want to do is chain up 2 or 3 depending on the pattern that you're creating, that you're doing for the sleeve, and then now you're just going to continue normally all the way down. Work it up to until you reach the area where you're creating the rib effects. And just this one row that I'm doing is going to be enough. So as you can see, it has created a curve and then a flat area. So I'll stop here for this side. For these rows that I've done, that is enough, and then I'll do the same thing for the other side, and then I'll show you the end products. So I'm done with the first one, the first example, and that is the vertical workup that I showed you. Now I want to show you the other one that other crocheters like to use, and show you the difference it makes when you add it on to your borders or whatever kind of paneled piece you're making. So what you're going to do is you're going to make this kind of panel sleeve, but with this, without this part, just a flat kind of panel without the ribbing, so that I can work it up quickly and show you the difference it makes when you decide to do this kind of panel instead of the one with the curves. So you just work it up normally. I'm working with double crochets, and I'm going to make it to be the same height as this other one that we made. So let me finish it up, then show you. So before I show you the difference, let me talk about this one. So let this horizontal workup, yeah. So let's say this is you've already done your foundation, this one here, you've done your foundation, and this part is the length of the subtraction that we did here. Yes, so what you're going to do is from this end and this end, you're going to decrease. So you'll skip the first stitch, continue, then when you get here you'll skip, and then you'll keep reducing, decreasing until you get the length that is here. Then from here you're going to work the rib pattern at the bottom here. So now let me show you the difference. This is going to be the normal sleeve that people do, and then this is going to be the version that I like. So let's get into it. To attach the sleeve, what you need to do is figure out where the midpoint is. For this one, the midpoint is already very clear for you. This is where the midpoint is. You'll just find it easily. So you'll feed it into the bodice and then you'll stitch it through. You can decide to weave in your ends as you go or do it afterwards. So this area that we are stitching right now, that is the round arm area that we're doing. So finish up, then do this other side. I finished both sides, so it looks like a small triangle that has been formed. So to do this side, what you need to do is now you're going to put these pieces together. I'll just start working from the middle. Start working from the borders, then you'll join up the other two areas of the sleeve. Make sure everything is aligned. Use stitch markers to get a neat finish. Weaving the ends as you go, or do it at the end when you finish working on your piece. So when you get to the area where the sleeve starts, what you're going to do is just continue joining the pieces together all the way to the end. go into each and every stitch. Let me do the same for this other one, and then I show you the difference. So I've finished. This is the difference I was talking about. As you can see, the one on the left is the panel, that the panel kind of sleeve that has no curves that we most crocheters like using. This one, as you see, when you lay your piece flat, it has this kind of off-putting form, yeah, compared to this side, which looks like the normal sleeve that we have on all kinds of clothing. So this is the difference that I was trying to show you. If you want your piece to have a more professional kind of look, I'd opt to go for this kind of sleeve where it has a curve if you're doing the paneled pieces. Let me turn it inside out so that you can see the final product. That was the wrong side. Now let's go to the right side. Are you seeing the difference? There's a big difference, and I hope you agree. So let us try and learn this kind of sleeve so that we can have a more professional kind of finish for our pieces. So thank you for watching, and make sure to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next one.